Welcome to GoVenture TV. And as I said, keep saying here, we try to look at some of the most important issues in business that are happening in business. And I also try to look at the most trending issues that we have. And I think for this week, the most trending issue is the finance bill. And in this finance bill, there are two areas. There's one area that I want to talk about. And one of the reasons as to why I want to talk about this area is because I have seen a situation where people do not actually distinguish between the two important concepts that are there in the finance bill. And therefore, it is easy to be misled and also to think that the prices of commodities are going down. But in each case, in the right case, it is not what is happening. So I want to talk about the tax exempt and zero-rated tax. And these two taxes, I'll talk about these two taxes looking at VAT. So I'll look at VAT exempt and also zero-rated VAT tax. Why? Because we have had a lot of information about it in the bill. And it is important for us to be able to actually understand what happens when a commodity has a zero-rated VAT, or a commodity has what we call a tax VAT exempt. So I'll use a document here, one document here, and as you can see here, this document tries to explain what is zero-rated VAT, but because I want to be as simple as I can, let me just start saying by saying that VAT means value-added tax, meaning that you only charge VAT when you have added value to goods and services that are available in the market or that you are producing. So when you talk about the zero-rated VAT, what we mean is that there is zero tax on those commodities. And the zero tax in that commodities goes back even to the inputs that were used to produce that commodity. So it means that when you sell that commodity as a producer, I will not put VAT tax to the buyer, basically because it is zero-rated. And I also have the capability of claiming the VAT that I paid for when I was actually producing the good. Take an example of a table. Now, when I make this table or the table, when I'm selling to the consumer, I'm not going to pay the consumer is not going to pay VAT because I'm not going to add VAT on the price because it is zero-rated. We have a zero tax rate. Second, I still can be able to go further after selling the table to claim the VAT that I used when I was making the table. If I paid VAT on maybe the nails, the tiba that I used that I used to make the table, then I can be able to claim. So what it means is that a zero-rated commodity is actually cheap, very cheap, because you are claiming your inputs VAT and also not charging VAT to the consumer. So the price of the consumer will be a bit low. Now, when it comes to the exempt, VAT exempt, what happens is that that good is exempted from VAT. And therefore, when you're selling the product, when I'm selling my table to the consumer, I will not load VAT, but I cannot be able to claim the VAT of the inputs that I used to produce that commodity. And therefore, that commodity will be more expensive than the one that is zero-rated, basically because the zero-rated commodity, in the zero-rated commodity, I was able to actually ask or claim for the inputs, the VAT or the tax that I paid when I was developing or I was making the table. So for the exempt, you do not claim the VAT, but you do what we call, you don't charge the VAT to the customers. Now, if you look at the finance bill, we have so many commodities here where the government has actually changed from zero-rate to exempt. If you look at a commodity like this one, the input of raw materials that produced locally or imported supplied to pharmaceutical manufacturers in Kenya for manufacturing comments as approved by the cabinet secretary, you can see there before the rate was zero rated. Actually, the current situation right now before the budget is zero rate. But what the government has done is that it has exempted it. So it means that these companies that actually supply some of these pharmaceutical manufacturing commodities or produce them, they are not going to be able to claim the VAT of the inputs that they use. And therefore, there is an increase in the price to the consumer of this product if you compare to how the prices that will be there before the budget. The same thing applies to this one. All input raw materials, whether produced locally or imported, supplied to manufacturers of agriculture pest control product upon recommendation by the cabinet secretary. So you can see before it was zero rated, meaning that the agricultural producers could claim the input VAT. But what the bill does is that it exempts it. It means that it will be now more expensive to the consumer, basically because the consumer cannot be able to, the producer is not actually claiming all the taxes, or there's some tax that is remains. The input tax is still there when it comes to the production. The same thing applies to the agricultural pest control products. You can see from zero rate to exempt. Liquefied petroleum gas. So this one is VAT to exempt. So here we expect a situation where the price is going to go down, basically because we are exempting it from 8%. Transport of sugarcane farms of milling factories. So you can see zero rate to exempt. So you expect the price of sugar to also increase a bit because of this. It was zero rate, meaning that the farmers or the transporters could actually claim the VAT that they had used, And now when it is exempt, they cannot, and therefore there is what we call the input tax. If this bill is passed, involving transporters of sugar from farming to milling factory will not be eligible to claim input VAT in the long run. Further increase the cost of business as recoverable VAT will be passed to the consumer. So that is what it means. So you can also see the fertilizer was zero rate. Now you have an exempt. We still have a challenge of, in the long term, an increase in the prices. The export of taxable services, it had a VAT of 16%. We have an exempt. It means that with going down, transfer of business as an ongoing concern. It was VATable. It has been exempted. But so the only thing that I think has been zero rated is the supply of maize, cassava, flour, wheat, or provides the paragraph shall be inappropriate. So it was exempt, but now it is zero. This is a welcome move. So this one is very welcome, basically, because if you look at it, what is happening here is that it was exempted, but now with zero rate, then the producers can be able to claim VAT from that product, from the KRA, and therefore the prices in the future may become lower. So what I wanted to bring in is a situation where I can be able to make you people understand the difference between a zero rate and an exempt VAT commodity. So I've said that for zero rate, you actually even claim this zero tax, and therefore you actually claim even the input tax that you paid when you're producing that commodity. But for the exempt, you exempt the consumer from paying VAT, or you're exempted from paying charging VAT. But the problem is you cannot actually claim the input VAT from KRA, and therefore the price is always higher than it is supposed to be. So thank you very much. I just hope that I have actually made it possible for many of you to understand some of these concepts. So thank you very much and have a nice day.